bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. This is bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Thursday, April 21st. 111 days into the new year. 253 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Strange day indeed. North and south, east and west, far and near, welcome. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your oh so humble host on this evening, Jimmy Church. How's everybody doing? I know. Today, this man, Prince, left this earth.
We love you!
Rest in peace, Prince. That was his last concert recorded 1 week ago today at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. There you go. All right. The show must go on. That is tough to listen to. It's just as tough for me as it is for you. But the show must go on. And what is unique about what you just listened to was, and I'm going to talk about this throughout the night tonight, but he canceled that concert earlier in April and had the flu, was sick, didn't know what was wrong, canceled. Goes back a week later, mans up, and does that show. 80 minutes at a piano. And while he was flying home after that concert last week, he made an emergency landing and in Illinois, went to the hospital, and he was released. And they said, okay, everything's fine. He went home, and more on that in a little bit. But there you go. That is a recording. And I have some more that we'll play throughout the show tonight. It's an incredible performance. And I have put up the links to it in Twitter. And you can find those if you just, follow us. It's simple enough. @JChurchRadio. And go to the hashtag F2B. And the links are up for this recording. And this recording was actually posted, oddly enough, strangely enough, 6 days ago. Who knew? Who knew? But I got to tell you, he played it like it was his last concert. My goodness. All right, tonight's Fader Night. It's all Prince all night long. He died today. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about the music. And I'll admit, I've got some Kleenex here in the studio. It's going to be tough, but you know what? Let's do it, because that man was an artist in every sense of the word. Period. And he influenced an entire generation. Our generation, my generation, your generation. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. And don't forget, at the bottom of the hour tonight, we will have Jon Rappoport in with the No More Fake Newsroom. Follow us on Twitter, @JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. You know what to do. You can email throughout the show, which is coming in right now. I get it. I do. Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Use the hashtag F2B for the sandbox, and Twitter is live to my left. And I just hang with it all night long, and I go back and, speaking of Prince, and there's a couple of weird things for me. This is everybody knows about my heavy metal polluted brain, right? But I just love music in general. It does not matter. Classical, country, it just doesn't matter to me. If it's good, it's good, right? Well, anyway, when you look back at that period of greatness that was music in the United States and around the world in 1980, 81, 82, 83, of course, we had the launch of MTV and that, and how that affected everything. But when I just go back and I take my brain to that warm, fuzzy period of music, a few things pop into mind, a few bands, and that period, what pops in my head is Prince. It's really true. Prince, U2, if you remember Sunday Bloody Sunday, and how that and Prince with 1999. And that era that was going on, it was a crazy, great creative time. And there was something else that Prince did for all of us. It was Prince and Madonna, and throwing a little Van Halen, but was a look. It was a look. He was an artist, and it was a look, and it was an attitude. And that thing that he was doing rolled over into the pop synth music, the punk, the rock and roll, the actors, television and movies and everything. Everybody wanted to look as cool as Prince. That's what you did. It didn't matter who you were. You know? And that's he encapsulated all of that. And what he expressed to all of us was, man, just be yourself, right? Just be yourself. It doesn't matter. Don't ever let anybody tell you no. Do your thing. And that's what he did. He wrote his music like he wanted to. He dressed like he wanted to. He acted like he wanted to. And that was it. It was called freedom. And he did that. And he just let us all know that it was okay. And then when you throw all of that away. Throw all of that away. Dude was an amazing songwriter. Amazing. Melody is the hardest thing in the world. You can imitate, you can copy, you can put on something and learn the guitar licks and learn how somebody's singing and do that, right? Be a clone. Or you could be the guy that is creating that melody. And that's the hardest thing to do in the world. And he did it with his own stamp. He did. All right. Tonight, it's going to be an all Prince evening. Let's move on. Got a lot to talk about. Oh man. And this morning when I got the news, which was immediately this morning, my daughter Deanna, wakes me up. Prince died. I was like, what? And it was too much. It was too much. And I knew, I mean, the first thing I thought about was the world. I mean, it took a minute or two for it to hit me. I was just thinking about everybody else because he affected so many, and it just didn't matter who you were. So there you go. All right, let's get this show cracking. Please go visit our sponsors, support the show. That's what you should do. Yeah. Let me get that out of the way. I'm really not in the mood for all of this. I just want to get to Prince. So click on our sponsors, Life Change Tea. Do that. Studio Dome. All the information is there. Next week, we will be up in San Francisco, San Mateo, for the New Living Expo. And go and click on that for your information and where you need to stay and all of that. We'll be up there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So looking forward to hanging out with all of you Fadernauts up there. Today, Iggy Pop is 69 years old. The Cure's Robert Smith is 57. And one of my favorites, comedian Rob Riggle, is 46. And if you don't know who Rob Riggle is, just Google him right now and look at his face, and then you can start laughing on your own. And we all need that right now. And also today, we can't forget, Queen Elizabeth II is 190 years old and looks pretty good, too, for $190. And there you go. On this day in history, 753 B.C., on April 21st in 753 B.C., Romulus and his twin brother Remus found Rome on the site where they were suckled by a she-wolf as orphan infants. Actually, okay, you know the drill. The Romulus and Remus myth originated sometime in the 4th century B.C., and the exact date of Rome's founding was set by the Roman scholar Marcus Terentius Varro in the 1st century B.C. So I guess it's not true? Bums me out. Fader fact. In 1978, write this down. 1978, a student in the United States working at a minimum wage job could pay for 4 years of college with no debt. And that is a Fader fact. All right, tonight, it's Fader night. Open lines all night long. I want to know who has seen Prince. Did you see Prince? I did. And yeah, it was pretty interesting too. I saw him very, very early on in his career at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, and that for me, it was a very unique night. I had no idea anybody could do that kind of stuff on stage. And this is a family show, but man alive, did he change me? And so I did. So did you see Prince? When, where, and how was it? All right. And, of course, we got to go through the song list tonight, too. Favorite Prince songs. And mine are going to surprise you. All right. Bottom of the hour, Jon Rappoport is here. And now I wanted to go over a couple of things. Yes. Prince dying today is insane as it is because, the words to express how I really feel, I don't have. I can't get it out, and I don't want to, and it just doesn't matter because right now we're all in the same place. And I get that. It's been a crazy year for this stuff. I warned you, and warned you that the mass media generation that we are, that goes back to, all of the music magazines that started in the 70s and 80s and MTV, and being able to just connect one-on-one with all of these artists that we love and influence us, and and we go in a direction and we just follow everything, and we know what they're doing. We know about their dogs and what kind of nail polish and clothes and cars and where they live. We know everything about our heroes, and so we have to be prepared now to deal with that emotion that's going to happen, because it's now at a point where situations like this, he's 57, right? That seems way early. Of course it does. He's 57. Guy had 30, 40 more years left in him. He left us way too early. But that's not the point. The point is how we need to continue to deal with this, because it's going to happen a lot. And it's not going to stop. It's called nature. And here we are. Here we are dealing with it once again. And so I just this month, Prince said that he wasn't feeling well. He just wasn't feeling well. Canceled a concert at the Fox Theater that was in Georgia City, outside Atlanta. And today, Jason Weaver, the coolest cat in Atlanta, by the way, sent me that Fox Theater performance in Atlanta that I played earlier. I'm going to play some more of it in a little bit. And that show was to make up for the cancellation when he got sick. And that show was last week, April 14th. Now, I listened to the entire thing today, and it's 80 minutes of him at the piano. And this was posted 6 days ago. Who knew, right? Of course. I get that. I understand. Just stay with me. But it would turn out to be his last. And I got to say, sick or not, flu or not, the performance is absolutely mind-bending. Dude was on top of his game. Right after the show, his plane made that emergency landing that I referred to earlier in Moline, Illinois. But he was released. And then on Saturday, this past Saturday, today's Thursday, this past Saturday, after all of that, he turns around and plays for a small gathering of friends at his Paisley Park studios. Got to get it in one more time. My downstairs neighbor for 10 years in Sherman Oaks. Downstairs. I mean, now, my condo, his right below mine. Like my living room was above his living room. He got to hear me walking around above him. Was a guy named Femi Raya. Femi Raya. Now, you may know Femi, but Femi is an engineer, producer, mixer that has worked with Meatloaf, Joni Mitchell, the Bee Gees, ton of stuff with Stevie Wonder, Ben Harper, Gloria Estefan, Common, Cyndi Lauper, and Prince. And I remember every time I would see Femi, because most of the time he was working in L.A., and then he did this, like, he was gone for like 2 years. And I would see him like for one day on the weekends. He would fly in, get home on a Saturday night. I'm not making this up. I would see him on Sunday, and then he would fly out Monday morning. So I would see him like maybe one day a week, every 2 weeks. And I'm like, dude, where have you been? Your car hasn't moved for 6 months, man. Seriously. He's like, man, I'm working with Prince. Get out. Yeah, that's what I do, man. I just fly home for a day on the weekends, get some clean clothes, and I go back to Paisley Park. And I got to talk to Femi about this a lot. I've been to Paisley, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. But what was really cool about talking to Femi was I would pick his brain, man. So what's he like? Dude, this is the best job I've ever had. He's the greatest musician I've ever worked with. And he's worked with, Stevie Wonder and Meatloaf. And I mean, it's just, Femi knows the good stuff. And so for probably 2 or 3 years, if my memory serves, he was Prince's guy, and all he had to say was the best things about him. Femi's a great guy too, and he wouldn't say anything bad about anybody. But I would just pick his brain because I wanted to know. And I remember years later I introduced Rita to Femi. And we bumped into him, say, hey, Jimmy, what's going on? Hey, Femi. Blah, 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 blah. And I introduced her to Femi as Prince's guy. And so Femi and the way that he spoke about Prince, I know that's exactly how he was. Humble, talented, funny, and the best. And we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him a lot. What he has left behind. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to say about Prince. And I've said this exact thing about David Bowie, which is Prince to me. And every time I would hear like his new song and I would listen to whatever it was, I always thought that dude is not from planet Earth. And I'm not making this up. That guy was just too out there, too different, too singular, just like Bowie. He wasn't from this earth, man. He just cruised by, gave us a little taste, and split. And I know it hurts, but he was that unique. That unique. Unbelievable. All right. Let me, there was something that I needed to get out of the way before I get to Jon Rappoport, who will be in here in 3 short minutes. Today, FBI Director James Comey hinted at an event in London today that the FBI paid more than $1 million to break into that locked iPhone. And Comey was asked during a question and answer session at the Aspen Security Forum event about how much the FBI paid for the method from an unidentified third party, that company from Israel, doesn't matter. And he didn't give a precise number, but what he said was, they paid more than I will make in the remainder of this job, which is 7 years and 4 months for sure. So I did the math, yes, and it is just over $1 million. But he went on to say that it was worth it. Yeah, and one last thing, really quick. Recession-racked Venezuela is now rationing electricity in 10 of its most populous and industrialized states, including Caracas. The announcement came out today. It's the latest drastic measure to alleviate a severe electricity crisis in which President and criminal Nicolas Maduro and his government blame on the El Nino weather phenomenon. He's blaming it on the drought. And I'm not making this up. He's not accepting responsibility, the blame, Chavez. No, he's blaming it on El Nino. I say it's the result of years of economic mismanagement and corruption. Hugo Chavez being a doofus. That's what causes it. And now Venezuela's economy has plunged along with the price of oil, which it relies on completely. Shortages of medicines and goods such as toilet paper and cooking oil you can't get. Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves, but the government has resisted using crude oil to generate electricity, calling it inefficient. I call it stupid. Unbelievable. All right, really quick. Norwegian law firm has filed a lawsuit against the Norwegian government to ensure that whistleblower Edward Snowden is allowed to travel to Oslo to pick up an award without having to face the risk of being extradited to the United States. The petition has been sent by his law firm to Oslo court on behalf of Snowden, and they want to make sure that Snowden will not be extradited to the United States without being extradited. So there you go. All right, let's get out of here. Let's get Jon Rappoport in here. It's an all-Prince evening. Fade to black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. When I come back, be joined with Jon Rappoport. Yeah. Bummer day, but the show must go on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Be taking your calls for the rest of the night. Let's talk about Prince and his music. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously. Give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fadernauts rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
And now, coming to you from the No More Fake newsroom in deep space, which is the space that we suspect to be true, that the world as it is, fed to us every day by the Ministry of Truth, is a lie. False reality, a movie projected on the screen of our subconscious. This, however, is the breakout. All of the screens crash. They all go down, and we see the light of day, a new day. No more robots. No more androids. It's the No More Fake newsroom with Jon Rappoport. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Jimmy. I hear some music in my ear. I don't know where it's coming from.
Because I got the Prince going on in the studio, man. I can't help myself. Take it away, John.
Right. Here we go, folks. So, I know that all the people listening to this show, night after night, week after week, month after month, whether you know it or not, you're all involved with breaking down the consensus. The consensus is that thing that tells us what reality is supposed to be, how reality is being manufactured for us. And no matter what your area of interest may be, UFO, alternative energy, hidden archaeology, etc., etc., etc. You've done enough research and investigation on your own. You've listened to this show enough to know that there is exceedingly credible evidence that is there for these phenomena, these facts, these forbidden branches of science and so forth. But there is this thing called the consensus, which is manufactured by the media, by the press, by the Ministry of Truth. And we are all, in one way or another, breaking that down. And so, to lead off tonight, I want to give you yet another conversation that I had, this time with a mainstream science editor. Over the years, as a reporter, I've been able to make contacts in mainstream media and talk to people off the record. And they're interested in learning what my research is doing at the moment, and I tell them, why not? Because here's what I'm uncovering. Do they ever go with it? Almost never. But they seem to be interested. So in return, they take off the mask and they talk to me. And this particular science editor talked to me in great detail. And basically what he said was this. He said, consensus is not just a collection of experts who are all saying the same thing. That's what many people in media believe, and that's what some people in the public believe. He said, it's a lot worse than that. He said, we invent consensus. And I hope you understand that distinction because it's the key. He said, we, meaning the mainstream media titans, invent consensus when it isn't even there. We consult a few experts, we write articles, we give the impression to the public that this whole issue, whatever it may be, whether it's swine flu or the Zika virus or vaccines or UFOs or what have you, is settled. Climate change, it's all settled. We give that impression, but essentially we are inventing the consensus. It's not actually there, which bore out my experience over many years talking to scientists. And I told this editor that. I said, many of these scientists are boiling under the surface because they read these articles and they know that when the media presents this as a consensus of the best minds, or we're all in agreement and so forth, that's a fiction, because these scientists are boiling under the surface because they know the truth. And they also know, now that you guys in the media have spelled out the consensus, that they haven't a prayer of getting money for research that's outside the consensus. No more grants, no more fellowships, no more perks, no more promotions if they dare to speak outside the consensus. That's what's going on. There are many scientists in many fields around the world who understand a great deal of what you're hearing on this show, a great deal of what the alternative press is reporting in greater and greater amounts on many fronts these days. The scientists do not all agree, far from it, but they're shut out of the equation. They must keep their mouths shut, and they do. They simply don't have the wherewithal and the courage to speak up. But the tide is turning. Let me give you a couple of examples. Now, the Zika virus, purportedly the cause of microcephaly, which is babies being born with brain damage and smaller heads, that's back in the news again with a fury, because the Centers for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, are determined to give the impression to the public that this whole thing is settled. And even though we had doubts before, we now know and we have proved that this virus is the cause of microcephaly. Well, Jimmy and I spent a great deal of time over a couple of interviews in which I laid out the case that this was absolutely absurd. Scientifically, there was no proof. In fact, there was proof that the virus was not the cause. But these monster public health agencies have decided to put the nail in, and so they have published a new study. And the new study purports to make the case. Zika virus definitely causes microcephaly. Well, I wrote an article this week in which I went over that study. And I showed how incredibly weak it was, how preposterous scientifically it was, because all it tried to do was to build consensus. It was really a piece of public relations and very little else. But they want to make that consensus real, and they did in the press. And now they have doubled down on it to say that 2.2 billion people are at risk from this virus that causes nothing. 2.2 billion people are at risk, which reminded me of what happened back in 2009. Here again, we're talking about a consensus. When Sharyl Attkisson, star investigative reporter for CBS News, uncovered the fact that at the height of the swine flu epidemic, the Centers for Disease Control actually, while saying there were thousands and thousands of cases of swine flu in America, had stopped counting cases and wasn't telling anybody that they had stopped counting cases. Why? Because all the blood tests coming back from the labs on the most likely swine flu patients, the overwhelming number of these tests were coming back negative. No swine flu, no flu of any kind. Their entire operation was cracking at the foundations, and they had to cover this up. And so, several weeks after Atkinson's story was published, the CDC went on the record and said, we estimate there are, in fact, 22 million cases of swine flu in America. They always double down. 2.2 billion people are at risk. There were 22 million cases. They double down. They tell a bigger lie to invent a consensus. They invent it out of thin air. They invent it out of sheer thin air. That's the way they operate. And then they try to censor people who go against that. So perhaps some of you are aware that this past week, a longtime blogger for the Huffington Post named Lance Simmons wrote a positive review, my God, of the film Vaxed, which shows deep fraud at the Centers for Disease Control. In 2004, researchers there gave a free pass to the MMR vaccine and said it had no connection to autism, when in fact, their study showed that it did. They cooked the study, they slanted it, they changed it. That's what the film is about. That's why it's raising such a furor, and that's why it's been censored. So Lance Simmons wrote a positive review for the Huffington Post. He's written over 180 articles for them, and all of a sudden, a little bit after it was posted at the HuffPo, it was taken down, deleted, and he couldn't get into his account. And he couldn't get in touch with anybody for several days at the Huffington Post. Amazing. Just shut it down. Shut it down. Don't let anything disturb the invented consensus. Must not let that happen. And now, in an incredible happening, Bob Wright, who is the former CEO of NBC, one of the great media titans that invents these consensuses, he's now former, has decided that he can speak out. He can speak out. He couldn't, of course, while he was at the head of NBC. Oh, no. Then he had to be inventing consensus, but now he could speak out. And so in his new book, he says outright that his grandson, who was just fine, received his dose of vaccines, went home, developed a high fever immediately, started screaming, and didn't stop screaming. And Wright's daughter, the mother of this child, in a panic, called her husband, who rushed home. They put the baby in a bathtub of ice in order to bring the temperature down, called the doctor. Okay, you ready? Called the doctor, and the doctor said that the child's reaction was quite normal. That child is autistic, has been autistic. He comes out and says this in his new book. This, you could say, is an incredible defection from the ranks. I mean, who better to show that kind of defection than someone who headed up the corporation that owns the news division of NBC, that for years and years and years, and still today, would never admit that there could be any connection between a vaccine and autism and the horrendous suffering of children who are injected with these vaccines. And now even he is coming out into the light and saying it. So the consensus is breaking down. It's breaking down on many fronts. People are realizing that there is something incredibly wrong. And because I cover many medical stories, of course, I tend to focus on these, but it doesn't matter what the scientific subject is or the phenomenon is. The pattern is the same. The media invents the consensus. There are many scientists who disagree but keep their mouths shut because otherwise they lose their status, they lose their jobs, they lose their pension, they're blacklisted, they can't ever work again in that field. But you know the truth in what you've researched, investigated, and discovered. And you are not only one, you are many, and that number is exponentially growing all the time. I can tell you that in this incredible issue of vaccines, which I've been covering since 1987, I have never seen the consensus crack the way it's cracking now. As I reported on several occasions before on this show, Robert De Niro has now really come out of the closet. After he canceled the film Vaxed at his film festival, Tribeca in New York, under pressure, after he was going to show it and was going to introduce it live from the stage. He canceled it. Now, in successive television interviews, he is speaking out. He's alert. He's awake. He's come out of his glazed state, and he's not happy. An icon of the film industry, famous all around the world, saying the film is important. People should see it. That the issues that are being, the consensus that is being presented is not correct, that there is more to discover. And in one interview, he looked at the reporter and he said, "You're the people who should be finding out what's really going on here. You're the people who should be uncovering the truth." On every question that was thrown at him in order to try to put him in a state of imbalance, he just held his ground. He said, "No, we don't know everything. Something is being covered up here, something very important. And the pharmaceutical companies," he said, "are profiting from it." This is on live television. This is on network television. This goes all over the world. The consensus is cracking. And so this gives immediately more power to all the stories that the mothers have been telling for decades about what happened to their children after they received vaccines, and their lives were never the same after that. Never the same after that. They left the world. No more communication, no more happiness, just pain and suffering. This is now cracking. This cover-up, this invented consensus is now beginning to fall apart. The mother's stories are beginning to be believed by more and more and more people. But again, this is not just on this subject. This is on all subjects. All subjects. People are also realizing, not just in a vague and general way, but specifically, that there are technologies of energy, for example, that would change the political, economic, social, cultural life of the planet if they were deployed. That we would come out of this age in which we are, this energy age, and walk into a new world for everybody. That this is not just a fairy tale. And it isn't just the technologies that we're being told are the ones that are going to change the future. Hidden technologies, technologies that have been suppressed by big oil, by other forces who want to maintain conflict in the world. Think about it. What would happen if the most precious natural resource in the world, about which every nation can line up at the table and beg for and plead for and pay for and argue about and have conflicts on and go to war about and destroy millions of lives for? Imagine what would happen if all of that went away because several of these energy technologies were finally acknowledged and deployed. And the fact that this consensus, that there is no such, oh no, these things don't exist, these technologies don't exist, and so on and so forth, that is the invented consensus, still holds, tells us how much effort it's taking in order to present this false picture of reality. And it also tells us that there are people at work, forces at work, that want to maintain the conflicts and the wars. This is their bottom line. It is not just we want to own all the natural resources. It's more than that. We want to maintain the wars and the conflicts and the horrendous state of affairs of populations around the world. We don't want there to be universal prosperity in terms of energy, which would revolutionize life on the planet. No. That's not in the cards. I'm talking about the Rockefeller globalists. I'm talking about those men who want to literally own the world, get rid of all sovereign nations, erase all borders, manage the entire planet as if it were one country, one money system, one economic system, one political management system. That's their objective. And in order for that to happen, they cannot lose control of energy. They have to maintain energy in a conflicted way so as to provoke destabilization, provoke chaos, provoke war as a medium agenda along the road to their final takeover. So I am looking forward, and I see signs that even that consensus about energy is beginning to crack in a significant way, that we are going to see more revelations about what we can really do with energy on this planet. So whatever your area of fascination or interest is, it does have to do with phenomena, science, fact, hidden fact, as opposed to pretended fact. And all the information that you know is true to the degree that you can disseminate it through whatever channels is going to add to this building wave that is taking us beyond what the ministry of truth is actually trying to impose upon us as a form of mind control, because that's what it is. It's the most powerful and extensive form of mind control on the planet. Yes, there are many more exotic technologies, but the meat and potatoes of mind control on planet Earth all devolve out of the ministry of truth. That's where it's coming from. And these are the major giant media companies who are hooked into the entire globalist agenda. They are beginning to see the handwriting on the wall. They are beginning to panic. Things are spinning out of their control, a few of which I've mentioned here today. And I will be mentioning more of those. But the fact that a mainstream science editor could sit down with me and frankly say off the record, we invent consensus where there isn't any, is, you could say, scary. I consider it exciting. I consider it exciting because it's a confession of the way things really work. That's how they work, folks. That's the game. The game is how can we induce people to believe that everybody agrees on this when it isn't even true, it isn't even close, it isn't even anywhere near a fact, but we make it out to be. How can we do that? How do we shape it and sculpt it and present it on television, in print, in every way that we can, so that we maintain this status quo every day in every way? That's what the big minds in the ministry of truth are thinking about all the time. And to know that once and for all and understand that that's what they're doing. They're not reporting on any kind of consensus. They're inventing it. And having invented it, and I'll close here, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because all of the outliers, all of the scientists who disagree violently, all of the smart people, professional people who are professionally engaged in whatever the subject happens to be, then have to shut up. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that, my friends, is coming to an end.
John, earlier this week, let me jump in really quick, and thank you for that. Absolutely compelling. A couple of days ago, I called the mayor of Houston, Mayor Sylvester Turner, and called his office. And I got through. They were so happy to hear from me. And I get through like 2 or 3 layers of screening, right? And they were all excited. And then I get all the way up to the top of the chain, right? And she says, so what is it that you would, yeah, he's available. What would you guys like to talk about? I said, I want to talk about the movie Vaxed. You know what happened? They hung up on me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
just like that.
Yeah. And so I'm going to pursue this until I get him on the phone. But it was absolutely hilarious. Oh, Jimmy calling me back. Hey, yeah. It was really funny until I said Vaxed. That was like
magic word.
Yeah, man. I got the whole thing, man. Dial tone, click. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely bizarre. And what I didn't do, which I will do from now on, I didn't record it. Oh, man. I didn't record it. But from here on out, I'm going to record everything, and I'm putting that mayor's office on notice. I'm coming after you. I just want to know the answers. That's all. And it's absolutely amazing. But thank you for everything. We did go, and as you know, we went to go see the special screening of Vaxed this past weekend. And the one thing, John, that rings clear, the people that are talking negatively about the movie haven't seen it. They are calling it anti-vaccine, which it is not. This is about a whistleblower and document and contrived and falsified and frauded data. That's what the movie is about. And to be cautious and trying to figure out a path forward. That's what the movie is about. It has nothing to do with anti-vaccine. In fact, they give very compelling evidence on how to vaccinate safely. And that's what the movie is about. It's amazing to me that the big farm out there wants to do this anti-vaxxed campaign when they know that the movie is exactly the opposite of that. But thank you for all you do. Look forward to getting you back here next week. And, of course, John's website is nomorefakenews.com. Thank you, John, and have a great, safe rest of your weekend.
Great, Jimmy. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Jon Rappoport, everybody. nomorefakenews.com. All right. It's an all Prince evening tonight. Oh, I forgot to ask John about his favorite Prince song. I'm sure he's got one. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Open lines for the rest of the night, 323-825-5045. You can also follow us over on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
Hey folks, Life Change Tea here, reminding you that colds and flus suck. Feeling lousy sucks, and allergies really can be annoying. What if you could change that? What if you could drink something that changed the sick and tired scenario? Well, you can change how you feel with a little help from Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is a drink you make, you control, and you drink. There are 8 organic herbs that blend together and give you what you need to fight the flus and colds of this world. Less sickness is more relief. Life Change Tea can help with high blood pressure, constipation, high cholesterol, and much, much more just by drinking the tea. Read the numerous testimonies at getthetea.com. If you're tired of feeling lousy, order right now at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. If you've heard this commercial more than once and someone's trying to tell you something, it's time to get well. GetTheTea.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile Talk Radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're of the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Yeah, Fade to Black. Tonight's Fader Night. The show must go on. Open lines all night long. Yes, they are full. 323-825-5045. Prince died today. Yes. It's sad. But you know what? We have this.
Okay, I think I got her in my system. Maybe not. Guess I should know.
That was Prince's last concert, last performance 1 week ago today, alone at a piano at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. And I want to thank Jason Weaver once again for sending that to me today. It's an incredible, incredible performance. We have, excuse me, I've got a lump in my throat. That's tough to listen to. He was, did he know? Man, because he was doing it like it was his last time. And 80 minutes of him sitting at the piano for that audience. And again, I said this earlier, this recording was posted 6 days ago. So that's it. Let's open up the phone lines. Let's get this night going. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
What's up, Jerry?
Yeah, you're live right now.
It's Sean. How you doing?
Hi, Sean. How are you, man?
I'm good. I was listening to Mr. Rapaort there. I got a couple things there. He talked about people not paying attention or whatever. What did he call that? He had a phrase.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, was it cognitive diffidence, or I'm missing? I'm not sure about that, but I wanted to make 2 points. He talked about the Vaxed movie, which I know you and Rita saw, and I'm sure it was disturbing. But I want to make 2 points, and I'm a couple years younger than you. If you look at history for the last 50 years, the JFK thing, which you can look at that Zapruder film, and there's no question what happened to that president. And then you go to 9/11, well, 3,000 people were murdered. And if you ask most Americans, they don't even understand about World Trade Center 7, which at 5 o'clock in the afternoon just fell completely into its own footprint. So I guess the question I'm asking to you and to the Fade to Black audience is, are we at some point where we're not even paying attention to what's happening to us around us?
Well, I'll answer that directly. I don't think the Fade to Black audience is oblivious. I certainly don't. I think that's the exact opposite of our audience. Now, as far as the status quo, the rest of the country that doesn't listen to programs like this or even concern themselves with that, I'm sure they're oblivious and not concerned, because the rank and file is concerned about getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home at night, eating dinner, watching a little bit of television, and following up on their whatever it is, the Kardashians or their favorite sports team, and going to bed. They don't want to concern themselves with anything else. They don't want to be distracted. They don't want to get pulled off of that. And they're on that treadmill. And that's the audience that we need to speak to, that I need to speak to. That's the audience that needs to see Vaxed, not the Fade to Black audience. The Fade to Black audience gets it. They do.
Oh, and I think I misspoke when I said that, because I think.
No, you didn't. No, Sean, you didn't misspeak. But what I'm just trying to clarify is, no, you didn't misspeak at all. But I think you understand my point that I make all the time, and I know you get it. I'm speaking to the wrong audience on this show because they all get it. Right, Jon Rappoport, and speaking about Vaxed and or 9/11 or anything else that is out there, we all get that and we understand that. It's how do you get the rest of the country to wake up and hear this, and that's the thing. So I hope that one person at a time, gets attracted to this show, and maybe maybe Sean, that they'll come in and listen because somebody tells them, hey, man, this guy, Jimmy Church, he'll talk about Judas Priest and UFOs in one show, man. He's a really cool dude. He gets it. He's one of us, right? And they'll come in to listen for the coolness. And then you know what I'm saying? And then,
but my point is this some sort of mass psychosis where people cannot see what's presented to them? How do people not see that?
Well, but Sean, listen, brother, and I know you get this. What you're speaking about has gone on for thousands of years. There's a reason why Rome built colosseums in every major city that they occupied. Why?
Oh, bread and circus.
Right, opium for the masses, right? And that very thing goes on not only in the United States but around the world. So that's yes. Is it going? Absolutely, it is. There's a reason why to do all of that. There's no question about it.
Okay, so not to sound like some unenlightened person or to sound like somebody who knows more than the rest of. So there's 10 million of us. The FADERNIGHT. How do we approach this and help the other people understand and get ourselves into a place where we can get to that point without sounding overbearing, belittling? How do we do that?
And you know what? This is what I do to the uninitiated that you're speaking about, and I'm with you on that, is throw them a softball. And the softball is this. Tell them to watch the news and pick out a story. It doesn't matter if it's CNN or your local news. Pick a story, their choice. Pick a story and then go find out if that story is true. That's all. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And have them do that. And just let them come back to you and go, wow, I never realized it before. But now I watch the news differently, and I can tell now, and that's the easiest way to do it. And then you open up yourself to a different type of conversation with those friends. And it's really actually a simple thing to do. Let them do the work.
But my point being is that I took two seminal moments from my life and from your life. You're probably 5 years older than me. I'm 49, so I was born in 66. So you're talking about the Kennedy assassination. You're talking about 9/11. You take those two moments and you dissect that and you look at that. There's no way that you can look at that and take the official story and make anything other than chicken salad out of it.
Yeah, but for the uninitiated, that's a big mental thing to digest. And they've already heard the stories about the JFK conspiracy. They've already heard the stories about the 9/11 conspiracy. And if they haven't absorbed it at that point, it's because it's too big. It's too much of a paradigm shift in their little golden life to accept. So throw them something throw them a little minor bone. Throw them something else. There's other things to talk about, like Ebola or swine flu, that kind of stuff. Throw them something smaller to digest, so then they can understand what the bigger picture is. But there you go.
Okay. Well, and by the way, thank you for what you're doing, because I listened to the show with Dane 2 nights ago.
Yep.
That's incredible, and that's another thing. How can you not look up in the sky and see that?
I know.
I have no. You cannot look up in the sky and see that.
Yep. Hey, Sean, have a great rest of your night, my brother.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you too. Great phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, Gary. This is Nelson from Jersey.
Hey, Nelson from Jersey. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I think the word the guy was looking for was cognitive dissonance. I don't know if anybody said anything else about that. Anyway, I think it was your last caller. Anyway, one point I wanted to bring up about like you as a radio host, Alex Jones, Richard Hoagland, all these guys now that are trying to push a certain type of way of thinking for everybody to be enlightened with. I think, I don't know, and maybe this is just me, but it's almost like they're allowing certain people to come over the airwaves to almost create like that revolution to a point where everybody gets so upwild that something spills over the top and creates a situation in which they have to react with all the shit they've been planning for. Pardon my French.
And
it's like, I don't know. It's like I see it coming down the pipe. Like they won't initiate it, but they're waiting for something for us to make a stupid move and act like a bunch of morons, so they can go ahead and do what they need to do and finally roll out what they're going to roll out. But I don't think they'll make that first move because they can't possibly take that blame on themselves.
Well, okay. I can see your point, actually. I can see your point. But there's, I'm not going to address each radio host individually that you just named because it doesn't, that part of it doesn't really matter to me. But I'll say this.
Yeah, no, I was just making a general statement about
exactly. I hear you. So let's just go off of that, which is this. Never before in history, Nelson, never before in history has there been this type of freedom of speech available to everybody. And one of the things that the government, and I'm talking about the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, they ruled the airwaves. So not only with television, but with radio, there were certain zones that you just couldn't get into and go into and talk about and speak about. And because of that, and the FCC ruling over the terrestrial airwaves out there, you could not go and just speak about whatever, okay? And you had radio stations and program directors and news directors that would do the hiring and firing. And if you stepped outside of a box, you got fired, right? But today, the reason why Alex Jones is successful is because he was not controlled, and he was on the internet, and there were millions of people out there that connected with what he was trying to say, and so for the first time in history, we are able to let people know that there is an alternative view of things, not necessarily the view that has been fed to you from terrestrial radio and television. And now you see it and you can feel it. The upheaval that is going on, not only in the Republican Party right now, but in the Democratic Party too as well, is a movement from the masses that, quite frankly, they just don't want to take it anymore. And that's the tipping point that instead of, and I'm talking about both parties and the country in general and Washington, D.C., instead of embracing the issues that are in front of all of us, lying, disinformation, conspiracies, military spending, imperialism, the Fed, taxation, money, ufology, and hiding the truth. All of this is something that now we realize that we can get that information and find out the truth for ourselves. And now we're questioning what the hell has been going on this whole time. And instead of embracing it and coming forward and discussing these issues, now they're being confronted. And now it's become this adversarial position that everybody is in. So you are absolutely right. Is there a tipping point? Is there something? Yeah, because it's never happened before. And people are starting to realize, a lot of people are starting to realize that things just aren't what they seem. And it's not what they have been told. And things are different. And people don't like it. And they're asking for change. This isn't a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. This is a population issue. You know,
yeah, I guess. Sorry, I mean. Yeah.
Well, but that's. I think that answers your question directly. Are they asking for it? No, absolutely not. But you know what? They're being forced to deal with it. And this movie, Vaxed. All right, this is another really good example of this. The movie Vaxed. We are able to now. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have an important message, if you discover something, if you find something out, you can now go and make your own movie. You can now go and get your software. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. You can do it for hundreds of dollars and put a movie together and have your own distribution and get it out there and get the message out. And that's never happened before in history. Thank you, Nelson, for the phone call. Absolutely spot on the money. 2 phone calls back to back that are concerned. And this is a Prince evening, and there you go. All right. I wanted to get to a couple of things really quick about Prince, and then more of your phone calls right after the break. The first thing that I want to address that I always found really trippy was that Prince, in the middle of the 90s, decided to change his name. And he didn't change his name like Meta World Peace, right? He didn't change his name. He gave himself a symbol that you couldn't pronounce, that wasn't on your keyboard. It was really funny to go and get a Rolling Stone or a magazine back then and to see his name in print, that symbol, because somehow they got that done, right? Wasn't easy for everybody to do that. And then because you couldn't pronounce it and there wasn't any way to tie yourself into it, he started to become known as the artist formerly known as Prince. And he did this because he was in the middle of a difficult contract that he was trying to get out of, and they owned his name. So what was he going to do? And it was a pretty smart move on his part. And he was able to release some stuff. It was pretty cool. Then in 2000, when his publishing contract with the company expired, he got his name back. And in case you didn't know how that all happened, that's how it went down. Kind of unceremoniously, too, because it was under the radar. Because suddenly he was Prince again and no longer the symbol. Prince, throughout his career, he won 7 Grammys. He earned 30 nominations. 5 of his singles were number 1. 14 other songs in the top 10. And he also won an Oscar. Yeah, for Best Song for Purple Rain, if you remember. Now, I was going through today my favorite Prince songs, and I've got some, but obviously for me, the obvious ones for me are When Doves Cry, Kiss, Let's Go Crazy, which is still one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite songs of all time has always been Raspberry Beret. Yeah, all right, I've got a soft spot. You Got the Look, Purple Rain, of course, and Little Red Corvette. Amazing. How about Sign of the Times? I remember that movie was released at a small theater in Pasadena, and they brought in this custom sound system, concert system into the theater and just blasted it. How about I Would Die for You, right? 1999. But there's two other songs, and then my number one all-time favorite, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But what about Nothing Compares to You? Right? And how about Manic Monday? That put the Bengals on the map, right? But my favorite Prince song, my number one, Pop Life. Yeah, man. Pop Life. Yeah, great stuff. This is Fade to Black. It's a Prince evening. Yeah, he's rocking it. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, at J Church Radio. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Not being able to fall asleep is so frustrating. The tossing, the turning, the adjustment of pillows and blankets. Eventually you just decide to get up and start your day really early. It doesn't have to be this way though. Power Sleep is an all-natural non-prescription formula that will help you sleep like a baby. It contains neurotransmitter nutrients that promote the production of serotonin, which is responsible for feelings of well-being. Power Sleep is easy to digest and absorb and is made in a base of active probiotics. Don't miss another night of sleep. Order your Power Sleep at EnergyWave.com or call 800-TURTLE-5. Add Power Vites to your cart while you're browsing. Perfect for Monday mornings. They're a complete multivitamin and mineral formula that will give you the energy you need to get through your day. Nourish your immune system and feel great. Get all the info and place your order at EnergyWave.com. Enter code word SLEEP to get free shipping. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Did you see Prince in concert? Give me a call, 323-825-5045. What was your favorite Prince song? I just gave you mine, Pop Life. When Pop Life hit, I went and got the CD, and I could not stop playing that song. I thought, man, how does somebody write a groove like that? I mean, it's such a perfect song. So, 323-825-5045. Want to hear from you. 323-825-5045. Also, Joan China Lauer passed away, the wrestler. Police in Redondo Beach, California, confirmed that Lauer, 45, was found dead in her apartment yesterday. Police say that they were notified by a friend who went in to check on her and found her unresponsive. Cause of death is under investigation, but police say that there are no signs of foul play. She had her issues with drugs over the years. She talked about it a lot. But she was a game changer, no doubt. Absolutely groundbreaking. And China, rest in peace. There you go. Other music news, by the way, Joe Walsh. Speaking of politics, man, hate going there. I just do. But anyway, Joe Walsh is pulled out of a concert that was scheduled for July 18th in Cleveland, Ohio. And let me do this. Let me do this. Okay. I got you. Myra, you just stay right there. Okay. All right. Myra's up next. And he said that he learned that the show was tied to the Republican National Convention. And I'm quoting here from Walsh. He says, "It was my understanding that I was playing a concert, which was a nonpartisan event, to benefit the families of American veterans on Monday, July 18th in Cleveland. Today, it was announced that this event is, in fact, a launch for the Republican National Convention." Walsh also went on to say that he discovered that his name would be used to raise sponsorship dollars for the convention-related and their purposes. And therefore, he felt forced to withdraw from the event. I'm going on and quoting him here directly. He says, "I'm very concerned about the rampant vitriol, fear-mongering, and bullying coming out of the current Republican campaigns. It is both isolationist and spiteful. I cannot, in good conscience, endorse the Republican Party in any way." Joe Walsh. Unbelievable. Myra, how you doing this evening?
Good. Well, I agree with Joe Walsh.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly, huh?
Yeah, he made some good points there. Yeah, Prince.
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Are you okay? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I loved him until I started getting all these emails and messages on Facebook from my old friends, from university and the such, saying, "Myra, every time I hear a Prince song, I think of you," et cetera, et cetera. And it's true. I have loved him since I can remember. And I think it's because I have older brothers and sisters that I kind of got into musicians that were a little bit older than my time at the time. But I loved him, and I used to get a lot of heat for liking him.
Why is that? Why do you think that?
I'm from a very, 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 very small community on a very small island on the east coast of Canada. And I don't know, it represents to me, Prince represents to me the first time that I really liked something that was against the grain.
Right.
And that everyone would make fun of me for, but I was like, screw you guys. He's amazing. He's awesome. Listen to his words, listen to his music. And eventually a lot of those people that ended up making fun of me, go ahead 10 years and they're saying he's a genius. I don't know. It's one of those people that I just, with my pure diligence, made other people ended up liking him.
Well, he did. I don't know. He did represent that, Myra. He represented the whole thing about do your own thing. Screw everybody else and just do your own thing.
Yeah, and in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was like 12 or something. He was like, he represented something that people weren't very comfortable with, right? He was, his sexuality was very ambiguous, like, and people just didn't know where to put him. And so it was awkward for people that weren't comfortable with it.
Right.
And
you bring up something. I'll say it right now, and he'll, if he's listening, he would absolutely go, Church, I love you, man. Which is this. One thing that I used to always trip on early on was how the women just melted in his presence, right? I mean, and he was so he had the hot chicks in his band and around him, and all of just women swooned. But at the same time, I know that the gay community out there were looking at him going, man, that's I want some of that. And I don't know if his doors swing both ways. I don't know. That's up to him and whatever. I don't care. But he had what I'm trying to say is he had both sides of the fence digging him, and I loved him for that. And you always wondered, man, that was the mystique about Prince. That was one of the coolest things that I really dug about the guy. And it was really cool to watch him perform. You just didn't know who he was performing to, or was he?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. He was like pure sexuality.
Yeah, well,
like he was attractive to everyone.
That's what I'm trying to say.
and he was 5'2".
I know there's. You know what? Right now, Myra, right now, there's some gay guys that are listening to this show right now, right? Going, Church, you're right, man. And then there's women listening to this show right now that were going, man, he was the hottest thing ever. And we just don't know. And that mystery was just the best part about him. And so there, it's really, really, really true. So, and I know he's laughing right now going, I had you all fooled.
Yeah. I know. And I feel like his death is still very fresh, obviously, but I feel like this is affecting me more than any other death of somebody I didn't know before.
Yeah, I'm looking at Twitter.
Even Michael Jackson, I feel like I'm just not prepared. I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
different.
watching Twitter right now. John just said, seriously, the women, man. He had the women, right?
Yeah.
I'm not.
He did.
So there you go. Yeah, thank you for the call, Myra. What was your favorite Prince song?
I really like Alphabet Street.
Oh, you know what? I didn't go there. Yeah. That's strong. And what about Delirious? I didn't have that on my list either. Yeah, but
and You're the Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which I always used to say was written for me. But whatever.
Right. But for me, there's something about Pop Life to me that song was just and Raspberry Beret, man. I'll say it. I'll say
of course.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
I'll go there. And I'm Mr. Hard Heavy Metal guy, but and nobody compares to you. Oh man,
beautiful.
Yeah, I remember. I was. This was probably around 2000, and Sinead O'Connor comes over to the States to perform. And her bass player was one of our endorsees for Ashdown, and I had to get him a rig, and they were going to play the Tonight Show. So I was able.
Oh, wow.
So I went to the rehearsals, and she did that song, of course. And I'm at the rehearsals over in Hollywood. And I listened to her play that song about 20 times, chain smoking too. It was really hilarious. She's just puffing. Chain smoking. And I'll tell this right now. She puts out her cigarette in this ashtray that was next to a McDonald's bag or something. And we're sitting there, and she's doing the song. Her eyes are closed. She's singing, and this thing goes, I swear to God, on everything that I love, catches on fire. And I was like, oh, man. And I jump up
For
and I
some
grab.
reason, with Sinead O'Connor, I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, right. And I jumped up and I'm pouring Gatorade on this flaming fire. She opens up her eyes and there's smoke everywhere. And she didn't even realize that she almost burnt the studio down. But anyway, nobody compares to you. And she nailed it that night on The Tonight Show. And I was right there.
Yeah.
I was right there at The Tonight Show, standing right in front of her. It was pretty cool. So there
wow,
you go.
that's amazing. You're a huge part of history to be there at that time. 'Cause that song blew people out of the that song blew people away.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Still does.
And she's just an amazing singer.
That performance,
but it tripped me out though to see her chain smoking while she was rehearsing. I mean, she was puffing, man alive. But she's got pipes. Myra, thank you for the phone call, and have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Don't forget, it's going to be part 2 on Monday, Ralph Ellis with the Arthurian connection to Jesus.
Ooh.
I'll talk to you.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Myra.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Now, really quick before I get back to the phone calls, the part 2 for Ralph Ellis is going to be on Monday. And to do just a little bit of a recap, I just want everybody to understand what this involves, okay? And I'm going to save the rest of it for Monday and let Ralph unfold this, okay? But what we did this past Monday with Ralph in part 1 was to set up the families and the establishment and what was going on in Jerusalem and the timeline that was going on at that time with the crucifixion, with Cleopatra, with the family, the bloodlines coming out of Persia. Okay, we set and set everything up into Edessa, and then the family going back into Jerusalem. Okay, now that is the setup. Now, how King Arthur ties into this and that legend that, as we know, was set in the Dark Ages in 500 to 600 A.D. after Rome pulled out of Great Britain. All right, and the stories themselves didn't come out until 12 and 1300 A.D. Now, what does that all mean, and how does that tie back into Jerusalem and Jesus and King Jesus? That is the story we're going to present to you on Monday, and you are not going to want to miss it. Let's go back to the phones. Mr. Mike Barra. Mike, how are you tonight?
Hey, Jimmy. I'm really good considering the circumstances. I mean, we lost another great artist today, and it's really sad and upsetting. And I'm really proud of you, as a buddy, for dedicating the night to Prince, because I think he was a really special artist. And it's just like, what is going on? Why are we losing so many amazing people in this year? It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, it is. Well, for me, Mike, it's kind of easy to figure out, because we all go back and start doing the math, all of these icons and heroes in the music and film that we grew up with in the 70s, are all getting up there in age, and it's going to start to happen here. Now, granted, he was only 57, but but my point is, we were exposed to him on a grand scale, and we all felt emotionally connected to the guy because he wrote music that affected us emotionally, and we have to be prepared now, because we are emotionally invested with all of these heroes, that when they pass, get ready, man, because we feel this direct connection to them that wasn't around in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. We didn't have that. Now, today, with mass media and the way that we are able to connect with everybody directly, we feel like they're our friends. Well, now we have to be ready, because it's going to crush us when they leave us.
Yeah, it's really strange. I mean, it's an interesting perspective that you just gave us. But it's, I'm sitting here thinking, how are Mick Jagger and Keith Richards still alive and Prince is gone? Because Prince is so much younger than them. But, truthfully, they are known, and Ronnie Wood it's been, established that they do the thing where they get the complete blood transfusion like every year. And that apparently keeps them youthful and vital and strong and not susceptible to illnesses and injuries. I mean, just a couple days ago, I think it was Apollonia Cotero, who was in Purple Rain with Prince, who went to visit him and said, "Oh, he's just got the flu. He's fine." And then a couple days later, we find out that he's gone. And it's I don't know what the secret is. I don't know why he's gone so young. I mean, Bowie was gone relatively young at 67.
69, 67?
60, I think it was 67. But, the point being that they're too young to go. And the thing is that as long as Prince or Bowie or very, very super creative people like that are still alive, we're sitting here, there's always the possibility that they're going to write another incredibly great song. And when they leave, that possibility's left us. It's not there anymore. And, I mean, somebody posted the other day a meme that said something to the effect that music, songs are what feelings sound like. And I think Prince was somebody along with Bowie and of course many others that really captured that for us. And just, I don't know, it's hard for me to believe that he's gone. Somebody that creative and that brilliant is gone, and we don't know why. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like right now, there's not really any clarity, as far as I know, on what caused his death. Do we know any more than we knew earlier today? Or?
I've been getting updates throughout the show, and still pretty much it's the same thing. I do know that the coroner has picked up his body, and they're going to do an autopsy overnight through tomorrow. Now, are we going to get the results of that tomorrow? I doubt it. But the flu and the way that he was talking about this a month ago when he canceled, the Fox Theater, and speaking about the flu, one has to say, and I do this all the time, is the flu that gnarly? It is, number one. Number two, if you are susceptible in any way, just a little bit, dude, it'll kick your ass. It'll kill you. And let's not fool around about that. That is something. Now, did he not go for him to get released from the hospital in Moline, Illinois? You would think that they thought, okay, he's got a cold, he's got the flu, he's going to be okay. They send him home. What happened at his house, and how a week later that the flu could kill him? Just let it be known, man. The flu is no joke. If it was the flu, it's no joke. And when you're 57 years old, and the way that it hits you with your immune system, it'll take you down.
Yeah, it's weird. I remember about 7 or 8 years ago when I was still working in the aerospace industry, and I was in this cubicle. There was a series of offices, and I shared it with somebody else. So there's two people in the office, and then there was one right across the hall, and one guy hadn't come in for a couple of weeks, and I asked his roommate there what had happened, and she said, "Oh, he got the flu and he died," and he was like 52. So, I mean, you can pass away from those things, but I think somebody really big like Prince, I mean, my suspicion, I don't know if this will ever be proven out, but I wonder if maybe he didn't have terminal cancer or something and didn't want anybody to know about it, and played as many concerts as long as he could, and said it was the flu, but it was something really a lot more serious than that. I mean, it was weird when Apollonia went to see him. It felt like she was saying her goodbyes to him, even though she was publicly saying, "Oh no, he's just got the flu and he'll be fine." So I don't know. I mean, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist about this, but I guess these guys are legends in a way. I mean, Bowie and Prince, they were pretty much semi-retired. Prince was back living in Minneapolis where he grew up, and they're entitled to their privacy at the end. And it just, I don't know. It's really hard to take this. And like you say, granted, we're at an age where people are going to start passing away. But I mean, Eddie Van Halen, I remember you talking about Eddie on his birthday, what a brilliant guitar player he was. Dude has like one lung left, and he still smokes. And he's still around,
and a half a tongue too as well. And
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had cancer on his tongue. But this is I've got calls lined up here, Mike. But I want you to do this. I put up the links to his last concert that I've been playing that he did 1 week ago today, and it's him at a piano, a cappella with a piano for 80 minutes. And I swear to you, his voice and that performance, he was never better. And
Right.
did he have any clue? Now, he had the flu. He was sick. He was, but yet he found the strength to go and reschedule, make up the canceled concert date, and then of all things, not a band, not anything, go in there and sit down at a piano for 80 minutes and play like it was his last day on earth.
Yeah.
And so did he know? I don't know, but he gave the performance of a lifetime. I'm glad that we have it, but go and listen to it.
I will.
Emotionally, you're going to get all you have to say to yourself is, dude, he died a week after this?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, those pictures of Bowie, 3 or 4 days before he passed away, he looks great. He looks healthy. He looks vibrant, but he was dying of terminal cancer. And I remember a show Elton John did, 10 or 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, just him and the piano. And the guy filled an arena. And how can one man and one instrument fill an arena? But so there are these treasures that we have, these people like Prince and Bowie and Elton John that, we've lost a couple of them. We're going to lose more of them, I guess, in the next few years. It's really who replaces them. That's the thing that gets me, is who replaces them.
Yeah.
And,
well, it won't be NSYNC or Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike,
All right, thanks.
Have a great weekend, brother.
You too, man.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, this is Dave in South L.A.
Hey, Dave in South L.A., how are you?
I'm doing good. Just to jump on board with, everything that, this was a killer week. And especially with the story on the weather modification, because I had, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had taken a picture. I saw these balloons going up into the sky. I had my phone out, took a picture of it. And then when I went back to look at it, because I was out that day, and took a picture, look at it, and the whole sky is covered with these contrails.
Right.
All over, like every day now, just about.
Seems like it.
And next day, I got the flu, and I was out on my ass for a week.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, then I had a friend who's a senior citizen, probably in his 70s, and he had some medical things, but he wasn't hospitalized or anything like that. He called up a friend and said, "Look, I won't be able to meet tonight. I'm just not feeling that well. I'll call you tomorrow." Next day, he passed away. And
right.
After all of the information that's come out here with what's being sprayed and affecting people's immune systems, I was at the Starbucks on Hollywood and Vine, and I met this woman from, I believe, she's from Switzerland, and she's lived in the States for quite a while, but, had an interesting conversation with her, because I could tell she was artsy, and I had my pens, and I was writing and drawing and stuff. We started this conversation, totally out of the blue. And I talked for 2 hours about the situation in the world. And, one of the things that she said to me was, they're killing us. We've got to wake up to the fact that they're killing us. And they'll continue to be killing us until we stop them. And you talked about this week with the Vaxed movie and being a tipping point where, people see this movie, get the information, and it's presented in, a very sensible way. It's not,
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's not, when it comes to Vaxxed, and I think with a lot of the things that we talk about, it's not about fear. It's about the lie. That's what it is. And all Vaxxed tries to do is present that there's a whistleblower involved, that they tainted and changed test results and hid test results and modified those test results in a way that it allowed the vaccine to get passed and by the CDC. And that's what the movie is about. It's not anti-vaccine. It's about opening up your eyes. That's what it's about. And I think we're all starting to do that. And it's coming in a pretty big wave. And I do totally agree. It seems to be a tipping point.
Yeah, because, people are, once they make that connection, if they can make that connection still, they're going to be outraged because it's collusion of politicians, it's a collusion of the industry, it's a collusion of, people who are trusted in the government to, look out for us, and they're doing actually the opposite.
And it's all driven by money. And the morals that people have to worry about money instead of the safety of our children is incredible to me. It's just incredible. And
it's the same thing as Flint. Flint is a smaller scale, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, well, 3 got pressed with charges yesterday, didn't they? So there you go.
Make them stick. I'm not, not until they stick.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Charges meaning anything to me.
Thank you for the phone call, and have a great, safe rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you very much.
There you go. This is Fade to Black. Let's take a quick break. Tonight's show, Prince. Crazy day, huh? I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More of your phone calls right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
If you're a talk radio fan, AccessRadio.net lets you listen to the best talk shows anytime and from anywhere. Works on your mobile or landline phone, and there's no cost if you have unlimited minutes. No need to use your data. Find your favorite talk show listen lines and discover new ones. Now you can listen on your schedule. Go to AccessRadio.net. That's AccessRadio.net. Save your favorite listen lines today.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Prince passed away today, 57 years young. Talking about Prince tonight. Played some really cool tracks from his last performance 1 week ago today at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. If we have some more time, I'll pop off a couple of more of those moments in a second. Now, Kat just tweeted out the Superdome in New Orleans is all lit up in purple lights tonight for Prince. And also, news station WOW, W-O-W, the news station in Louisiana, says that they had the rain on their radar as purple. That's pretty cool. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Eric.
Hey, Eric, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. I've had that flu. I don't know if it's the same flu that Prince had, but I've been sick for 2 weeks. I just stopped throwing up like yesterday, but I'm still not feeling very good.
Yeah, it caught us too up here, as you remember. A couple of months ago, hit us pretty hard. We went heavy on the supplements, which we do every day anyway. But we doubled up and tried to get rid of it, and we did. We came out of it okay. It was dicey there for a minute, but.
It is scary because I couldn't even keep water down. I would just drink a little bit of water, and that came out too. So I was kind of a little scared because I haven't been sick like that in 10 years. But
so, what was your What was your favorite Prince song?
Well, I had a lot of them. I like Erotic City, but I also like Controversy.
Oh yeah, good track.
Controversy. That's actually I wanted to tell you something briefly about Controversy, and then tell you about a Prince concert that I went to in Oakland, California in 1982.
Okay.
The Controversy would be this is the conspiracy side of the Prince passing. I tweeted this out just a few seconds ago on Fade to Black. It's the satanic ritual dates, and right now this week is a big week for satanic ritual sacrifice. And I believe yesterday was the Queen's birthday. I know that sounds crazy, but the bottom line is a lot of these things a lot of people are going to speculate that it could have been an Illuminati sacrifice, but we don't know that. But the point is these things seem to happen on weird dates. And Prince was too young to go. I just can't believe that he died of the flu. I just can't buy that.
Well, he was. Yeah, I hear you. Except the only thing that I would say to that is he was, sick for a month. That's the first thing. Second, it wasn't that this just happened overnight, and. He canceled the concert, went back, redid it, flew back, and went into the hospital a week ago. Did an emergency landing with his plane, went in, got released, and so if it was more sudden than that. Plus, we don't know. He was such a private person. We just don't know what was going on in his personal life, and was there something else involved? We just don't know.
We don't know. We probably won't ever know.
Yeah, 57, very young. I did see the interview with him and Tavis Smiley today, where he was talking about chemtrails and the Illuminati, and that was pretty. I mean, he was pretty straight to the point about that. He did not mince his words. I thought that Tavis Smiley was caught a little bit off guard with it, and he didn't know how to respond. And, he doesn't know anything about this stuff and definitely doesn't want to talk about it. But it was pretty interesting to see Prince very candidly speak about chemtrails and what they were.
That was quite a while ago, that interview, wasn't it? I don't think that was just in the last year or two. I think that was several years ago.
Yeah, it was, because you can tell Tavis Smiley is he's actually pretty good looking in this. So yeah, it's not it's not fresh stuff at all. Yeah. But, hey, Eric, I've got a ton of phone calls here that I got to get to. What you said you wanted?
You want to hear my Prince concert story? It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, as quick as you can do it.
Okay, so this was back in, I think, 82. I was only about 19 years old. A buddy of mine and I went up to a concert in Oakland. And in those days, you could buy a ticket, but the floor section, if you could weasel your way up to the front of the stage, you could do that. There weren't seats all the way up to the front. So we weaseled our way all the way up to the front of the stage. And there was a bunch of other people up there, and there was a couple girls up there. And this one girl was beautiful. She was a mulatto girl. And so during the concert, a lot of these artists, they'll bring people from the floor down there onto the stage, which you probably know that. And it just so happened that this girl that was dancing next to us during the concert was the one that got picked out of the crowd, because we were right in the front row, and brought onto the stage. So Prince serenaded her. And then, so after the concert was over, I hung out with this girl, and my buddy was there, and this other girl was there with her. And we said, hey, why don't we try to see if we could go backstage, and see if we can meet Prince. And we're just trying to rap with the girl, basically, flirt with her. But she was down for it. So she says, yeah, let's go for it. So we went to the back of the, around the back, and the guys were in the back there, the guys that watch the door that don't let people back there, and they recognized her because she was the girl that was on the stage. And so they allowed her to actually go back, not in the backstage area, but in the back tunnel area behind the concert area. And so Prince was in his dressing room with his group, and so we waited back there for probably 20 or 30 minutes, but he finally did come out. And he took a picture with her. I actually took the picture of her and him, and she gave her an autograph. And so that was kind of a fun story to be able to tell. So that was my story, basically, my Prince experience.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I never got a chance to hang out backstage with him, but there you go. I'm a little jealous. Right on, Eric.
Well, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you again soon, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's go right back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello, Jimmy Church. Ben from Bristol, Tennessee.
Hey, Ben. How are you, man? It's good to hear your voice.
Brother? Yeah, man, doing well. A little sad today, a little sad.
Yeah, a little sad is, and I'll let you finish, but I'll tell you, Ben, this is the thing, is we just, as weird as it sounds, you kind of just got to be happy. You can't let yourself get sucked into it. Just appreciate the legacy and the vast music library that he left us with, and we will always have that.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I was sitting at work today, and when the news came across, and it immediately, first of all, I had to sit down, but it immediately put me in Prince mode, and I just cranked up Pandora and just dialed in some Prince and finished out the rest of my workday listening to him in the background. But yeah, I know. Just going back to, this was right in my wheelhouse. 1985 or 1984, actually. I was a senior in high school, and we took the trip to Lexington, Kentucky, to Rupp Arena, called the Purple Rain Tour, and to this day, it was hands down the best live show that I've ever seen anyone perform.
Yeah, man, that was an amazing tour.
It was incredible.
Yeah, you saw him in Rupp Arena? Wow.
Yeah, Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, 1984.
Yeah, that's no joke, man. Rupp Arena is no joke. That is one great concert venue.
Yeah, we had seats on the floor. We were probably, about 15 rows back, but the place was just packed. And it was right when Purple Rain was out. He was doing that tour, and it was just a wonderful show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the guy, plays the guitar he plays every instrument, but played the guitar just like nobody's business. I mean, the talent that he exhibited, and you look at the other artists that he worked with, all the songs that he's written throughout time. Not just stuff that he did, but he was a genius. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Ben, before I let you go, what was your favorite Prince song? What is your favorite Prince song?
Part of me likes When Doves Cry an awful lot, but I'm gonna have to say Purple Rain. Just with the movie, like I said, a senior in high school.
Yep.
Just the whole timing of it, and then just the melody when he sat down at the piano after he finds his father's music, and he sits there and he just is playing the chords on the piano. It just it's very good. It's emotional. There's no doubt about it.
And nobody has said, which I'm blown away by, 1999.
Yeah.
Dude, every time, anywhere you are at, right? It's New Year's Eve and they crank that up. Wherever you're at and that song plays, people react.
They do.
That's a special talent when you're able to get to people's emotions so directly and easily like he did.
And
He knew
Not
how to
that
do
it
it.
ties into what happened today, but I always liked I Would Die for You too. I mean, I always enjoyed that tune as
Man,
well.
you're a softie, Ben. Thank you for the phone call. Thank you for the phone call, Ben.
Got me, brother.
You got it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
That's Ben Trout from Bristol Motor Speedway, the vice president, checking in with us tonight. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Lisa. How are you?
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm fine. I called tonight because I'm a former school music teacher.
And
you know, you played the track of Prince singing a week ago.
Yes.
At the piano for 80 minutes.
Yep.
I'm 57, same age as Prince, same age as Michael Jackson. And it is very, very difficult if you are not in tip-top shape, particularly if you're a vocalist, to be able to sing the way Prince did just a week ago.
I know. Isn't it weird? And it's 80 minutes, him at a piano, no support. You know, that's it. You don't, you can't hide behind a piano. You know, you're not.
And the range and the notes.
Yep. But as you know, as a musician yourself, there's something about adrenaline that will rise above and force you to go into a zone that you can't normally go into. Now, and then after you are done and the adrenaline is done, then you crash. And that's what happened. You know, he got on that plane and he probably was barely walking. And think about how sick he was that they had to do an emergency landing. You know, how bad is it? So, adrenaline takes over. And then after the adrenaline is done, your body goes, okay, now you remember what you were at before? Okay, here we go. And here's your reminder. And I kind of put my mind in that place.
Well, maybe. I mean, I've been in many concert situations, not to the extent, of course, of Prince or Michael, and you do get an adrenaline rush, indeed.
Yeah. And
silly me, when I've been sick, I've like, let me just try singing.
Yeah, you can't do it. And you know what's
and
fun?
It's very difficult. I mean, you have to have the proper breath support, and you have to try to, really lift your voice up high, up for sure out of your throat, when it's very hard to do when you have any kind of congestion, any kind of constriction in your throat, to get your voice lifted up, into your face, your mask, into the almost like the third eye area, basically, is where your focus is, where you kind of have a smear, to lift it up and to sustain the notes like he was doing. Adrenaline, I'm sorry, Jimmy, I can't buy it.
Well, and if you go, and I appreciate that and I respect that. Have you listened to the entire 80 minutes?
I have not.
Okay, well, go and listen to it because it will reinforce, I'm sorry, but everything that you're saying, right? It sounds impossible. You go and you listen to that and you cannot help but stop and think, as morose as it may be, that this guy's dying in 7 days. And it doesn't sound that way to me because I've said it. He is on top of his game. It's an incredible performance.
Yes, I agree. That's the reason I can't attribute it solely to adrenaline. I cannot. And the same way, again, with Michael Jackson's supposed death. He was preparing to go on that huge tour.
Right.
The movie showed him rehearsing. He was in as vibrant a health as I've ever seen anyone be.
Right.
You have to be when you're preparing for something like that. It's like a huge sporting event. You're preparing for months.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing to listen to. And when you put that, everything in perspective, that, he dies a week later, number one. Number two, he canceled that performance the week before, and because he was sick, and then somehow pulls it off like he did. And I listened to the entire thing today 1.5 times. I listened to it once straight through, and I went back and listened to some pieces. And you listen to it, and I'm telling you, his vocal range, his pitch, his control, his happiness, his crowd control, he was on top of his game. And
and a recording hides nothing.
Yeah, it's a bootleg recording.
Unless he had a
that's
pitch,
right.
unless there was a pitch correction device being used.
It's bootleg. It's bootleg. Yeah, I'll probably end up getting sued, but so be it.
I really have a hard time with the adrenaline being the sole reason that he was able to perform the way he was a week ago.
Yeah. Hey, Lisa, and thank you for the phone call. What is your favorite Prince song?
Well, for your lucky day, I love 1999.
I knew somebody would come forward. I mean, what's not to love? What's not to love about that song?
I know.
It makes
right before Y2K.
Well, and you know what's funny? It makes white people dance pretty good. It's that song. That's how good it is. White people can dance to it.
Nothing makes this white chick dance very well, I gotta say. Nor does she tries.
Thank you for the phone call, Lisa, and have a great, safe rest of your
Jenny.
weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll see you on Monday. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Tammy.
Hey, Tammy. What's cracking?
Everything. Whips, you name it.
Okay.
1999 would have to be my favorite, and then When the Doves Cry, followed by Little Red Corvette.
Yeah. You're not going to miss on that list. Not at all.
No, I don't think you miss on any of them.
No, he had that talent. He had that talent. All of his songs were good. If you go back and you listen to something like Jungle Love by The Time, right, that he co-wrote with Morris Day. And I love Morris and I love The Time, and they were a great band. But, Jungle Love was a hit because of Prince. But that's how well he wrote. And if you go and listen to Manic Monday and you listen to that and just put it all together, there's a reason why it's so dang great. He was a master. He was a master at his craft.
There is only one song that he wrote that I don't like, but Mark loves it. Darling Nikki.
Yeah, of course. Of course he likes it. Yeah, he likes it because it turned over Washington, D.C. and started forcing parental guidance stickers on CDs.
I bet it did. Years ago in '88, he was doing a modeling show that I was at, literally live music for the walk. And I seen him in concert in '92. But I wanted dance, a right to teach dance for 2 whole years at a dance studio to 3 of his songs, my favorite 3. And it's just, I don't know anything that he wrote that I don't like.
Yep.
Really, I mean, just an amazing guy. But, you guys keep mentioning, I don't know what kind of plane he was on. Do you? Was it his private plane? Or
I assume that Prince isn't flying commercial.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Well, Dane and I were talking about that toxic syndrome with the animals. And if he's sick, Jimmy, if he's really sick and he was able to bring himself up to do that concert, which I did listen to all of it earlier, it's amazing. With, his immune system being down, that stuff could wipe him out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that goes with it. I mean, look, I have flown so much of my life that it seemed like I was constantly fighting. I could smell the germs when I got on a plane, man. I would look at people, and it is nothing but a container full of crap from people that are on and off the planes from all over around the world and touching things, and it's horrible. And every time I got off of a plane, I would always think it was the air conditioning system, or it was this, or it was that. No, it's a Petri dish full of crap. And so no matter what, private plane or not, you get on those and you're susceptible to all of that, the viruses and germs and everything that that is on the plane. So it could it contribute to it? It could. Hey, Tammy, let me get to these phone calls, and I want you. Yes.
Thank you, Jimmy, and you're rocking it tonight.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Have a great, safe weekend. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, how you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, hey, Dino, how are you?
Well, all this death and stuff, and we were been this way before the last 2 or 3 months, all the celebs dying. Before I listened to your show, I wouldn't have thought it, but, when you look at this week, we've had Jacobs on, we've had Whittington on, and look at the kind of stuff they're talking about. I mean, this is what makes people think that we're all a little off about conspiracies, but it makes you wonder what the big picture is. I mean, why are so many of our entertainers checking out, and many of them a little bit too early, in my opinion? Is it because they do break the paradigm of being in a herd and just doing what we're told and not questioning authority? I wonder.
It's always something to think about. I'm not going there. I'm not. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not. But as you know, I collect information. I will. You need to do that before you start to go off the rails and start to suspect anything else. It took a long time for me to, with different theories out there, for me to get on board. Some I never have. And I won't, because there's nothing there for me. But when it comes to something like this, the last thing, and what really pisses me off more than anything, is out of the gate, his body is still warm, and people want to jump on the conspiracy thing. Oh, it's chemtrails. Oh, it's the Illuminati. It's this. Hey, you know what? Stop. You don't know anything. You don't. Nobody does. Nobody does. Unless somebody wants to call up here, like my friend Femi, right? Femi Raya. Somebody that calls up and was on that plane and has been with Prince for the last year and is with him every single day and knows what's going on, then I'll listen, right? But, or unless you're,
get the fact.
If you are part of some satanic cult, and you were throwing, vibes down on him at a sacrifice with an altar, and you were sacrificing a baby calf. Unless you're that person, don't call me. Don't talk about it, because it's nobody knows. And so I hate it when people start saying that so they can get clicks on their website and go out and say stuff, because they don't know. Nobody does. Nobody.
Get the facts.
Well, I mean, look, that's it. What are the facts that we know it? He was sick this month in April, had to cancel a date in Atlanta. He went and did a makeup date. He was feeling sick. He had the flu. He wasn't 100%, so much so that he had to cancel the date. He started to feel a little better. A week later, he goes back and makes up that concert. And he sounded great at the concert. I don't know how sick he was. He was sick enough after the concert to land his plane. So let's just go with that for now. Those are the facts. If it changes, it changes. But right now, man, let's just think about how wonderful he was, because that's, he was as much of part of my life growing up as he was anybody else's. And I'm not going to sit here and tarnish that with some perverted wingnut thing. I'm not going there. I'm not. And
you can't do it. You have a show and you have a responsibility.
It's called having respect. It's called having respect. I'm not going to go there. And anybody that is, man, they're entitled to whatever they want, but they're not going to do it here on this show.
But, he's a little bit more of a big celebrity. But look at some of the other celebrities just in the last 2 or 3 months. Look at the comedians. What was his name? Larry Saunders, the guy that did Larry Saunders. I mean, who would have guessed the guy was sick? You know, there have been so many people that have been checking out just boom like that, and you have no warning, you have no idea what it is. And that brings me to David Jacobs that you had on. You wouldn't let me call in, but I wanted to start to ask him. I've heard him on other programs talking about the hybrids and the hybrids. Now, if that, you know, he's a very intelligent guy and he works into it slowly, but that's a big, big thing. If there are creatures, sentient or not, created genetically by people who are not of our planet, wandering among us, slowly taking over, it makes you wonder if that fits into all this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wanted to ask him, how can we not only identify what a hybrid is, but how can we defend ourselves about this? I don't want my planet taken over.
Well, he answered both of those questions last night. A, there's nothing you can do about it, and B, you wouldn't know it if you met one. You know, I asked him that, 3 or 4 times last night.
But, I mean, I don't know if he really – he says that, but, I mean, how can you put this stuff out there and claim you know that it's happening without – there's got to be some resistance. You know, that's what I wanted to say to the guy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, otherwise, let's just throw in the towel. Let's all just jump, you know?
Right. Well, like I said,
and so when I hear death and I hear whether it's a celebrity, we hear more about celebrities, but – you know, these people are just going, and they're going down fast. That's the thing that hits me. I mean, and yet Charlie Sheen is still alive, and supposedly he's admitted he's got, a very serious disease,
Right, AIDS. Yeah, well, there you go. Hey, Dino, I'm at a break here, my brother.
All right, break it off.
Have a great, safe weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Next weekend, not this weekend, that we're going to be at the conference, and I sent an email to Rita. I haven't gotten my passes yet.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get passes. You get them at the door.
Okay, I'll go to the door.
I'll talk to you. Thank you, Dino.
Bye.
This is Fade to Black. Prince left this earth today. Taking your calls next, 323-825-5045. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Right back after this.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Angioprim can clean blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is liquid oral chelation. It's not new science. 50 years of research has gone into chelation, and now there's Angioprim. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. The first thing Angioprim users say is they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better. Log on now at angioprim.com to get more information on how you can get started and start feeling better and doing more. Lots more. Talk to a trained Angioprim consultant or go to angioprim.com for help. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. That's Angioprim at 877-882-7221. Get the facts about Angioprim. Begin living the life you want, doing the things you used to do again with Angioprim.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Erica, Gracie, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Watch that. See, I just tweeted. I'm trying to tweet and talk at the same time, and obviously I cannot do it. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. It is an all-Prince evening. He left this earth earlier today. All right. 323-825-5045. Really enjoying the tweets. And I got to tell you, this one of Prince going across the stage. Who is that? Is that Vanity in the background in that? Somebody tell me, is that Vanity walking next to him, or is that Apollonia? I can't really tell, but it's it's an amazing little clip. All right, 323-825-5045. Now, this is something that I need to address, and I'm a little bit upset. And all of our friends over in the UK, which is a big chunk of our audience, we have a huge international following. This show, as big as it is, and it's big, all right, about 60% of our audience is from the United States. And those stats, and they've been going down and down in the United States. You know, the pie is the pie, right? You know, you start at 100%, and then it gets sliced up, right? And the show has gotten so big that we have gone from 90% in the United States, 85, 84, 83, 80. It's down to 60.27% right now, today, as of this morning, in the United States. So now that divides up the rest of the world. And a big chunk of our audience, we have the UK, we have Canada, we have Australia, of course, and then all of the countries that are around there, Europe, and, you know, Germany and Holland. I mean, these are, you know, big chunks of our audience, right? Big chunk. It comes out of Japan and Brazil, South America. But the UK is a big chunk. All right? So for those that are listening to me in the UK right now, I got upset with you guys today. And I'm saying you guys. Now, if I'm in the UK and I'm a citizen of the United Kingdom and I find out about this today, I would be upset. And this is what happened. Because right now, in the eyes of the British government, the United States is now supposedly risky. It's a risky destination for LGBT travelers. Right? Which is BS, number one. Number two, the British Foreign Office posted a travel advisory update to its website Tuesday morning, warning members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender communities about anti-LGBT laws that were recently passed in North Carolina and Mississippi. And I'm quoting here. The U.S. is an extremely diverse society, and attributes and attitudes towards the LGBT people differ hugely across the country. That goes on to say the LGBT travelers may be affected by legislation passed recently in the states of North Carolina and Mississippi. And I call foul. I call foul. And I call shame right now on the British Foreign Office. So everybody over in the UK that is listening to me right now, you guys know I'm an Anglophile. And I've worked for many British companies, and I love all things Britain. But I'm going to say this right now. The British, the BFO, the British Foreign Office, right now, Parliament, Queen Mother, listen to me. Because I will say this out loud. What about Alan Turing? In 1952, yesterday, you Brits convicted Allen of indecency and homosexuality. And you gave him a choice, one of two. He can go to prison for being gay, or he could have chemical castration in 1952. Not 1450, not 1550, 1952. And he selected the latter. You forced a man to have chemical castration in 1952 because he was gay? And you want to come down on us over you have nothing to say about anything, number one. Number two, he selected the latter so he could continue his work. He helped win World War II. That's what he did. And you turn around and shamed and did what you did to him. Now, not only did you do that, but Alan Turing committed suicide 2 years later when he was just 41 years old in 1952. 1954, he commits suicide. You have that to live with. And on top of that, you prosecuted and caused 49,000 other gay men to become criminals and charge them with a crime. And on top of that, these laws were not repealed until 1967. So you want to tell your LGBT community that there's a couple of issues over here with Mississippi and North Carolina. When until 1967, a gay man traveling from the United States to the UK could potentially wind up in prison. You can't say anything. 1967. Now, it gets worse. This just angers me so much. That offense, the laws were repealed in 1967, but that offense remained on the statute books until the Sexual Offenses Act, wait for it, of 2003. Yes, sir. Am I angry? Ho, ho, ho. Man alive. Man alive. All right. All right. I need to take a deep breath. When I heard that, and I just immediately said, you can't say anything. You cannot. And I love the UK. But when it comes to something like this, you need to look at yourself. You cannot, as a government, point fingers at anybody else. You've got a very, very dark past with that community. All right. Can you tell? When I get fired up, what about Jimmy Savile? Mark, yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go there. All right. A top secret official, or I'm sorry, hold on, let me back up. This is almost equally as disturbing as that last little tidbit. Top secret federal court has called the NSA and FBI's retention of personal information both disturbing and disappointing, and ordered the monitoring agency to reveal how it will destroy such information going forward from today. Now, a secret court, top secret court, oh yeah, and there's more than one, but considered to be the nation's most secretive court, it's called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or FISC, F-I-S-C. You can go and look it up for yourself. And it primarily deals with the U.S. intelligence agencies. Ah, yeah. It released a trio of decisions this week that will keep the National Security Agency's surveillance activities under close scrutiny. The rulings are heavily redacted, and I expect that. But one is largely procedural. I expect that. However, the other two lay out new oversight compliance requirements for both the NSA and the FBI. And for those of you that just realized I just quoted from My Cousin Vinny, I'll send you a T-shirt. They also show concern that the NSA may have broken the law by failing to redact information collected about its targets online. This is a very, very, very big deal. And I will closely keep my eye on the situation, and I will follow up. More than 1 in 5 Americans were victims of identity theft or attempted identity theft in 2015. This, according to a new report that was released today from the American Institute of CPAs. And to me, it's no wonder that half of United States adults believe it's likely that they'll suffer from some financial loss in the next year due to identity theft. Now, here's where the stats get really out of control. Among those who were victims of ID theft last year, 93% took new steps to combat the situation. More than 70% contacted their credit or debit card company to set up additional protections. And half increased their use of cash or checks. Other common steps include eliminating or decreasing online transactions and also freezing your credit. Now, I don't know about you guys out there, but you should have the ability right there on your cell phone to freeze your credit. You lose a credit card, anything suspicious, bam, you hit a button and you stop it right there. Everybody should have that ability. 2, man, have some kind of credit notification going on. We do. We've never had anything happen. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness. I've often thought that one day, I'm going to wake up and hit that nightmare. Hasn't happened yet. Has not happened. I remember back in 1995. Oh, by the way, phone lines are open. 323-825-5045, talking about Prince. I'm just going over some of the news here. 1995, I overhear a conversation. I'm at, I don't want to say specifically, but let's just say it was at the Sunset Grill on Sunset Boulevard. And I'm there getting my double cheeseburger with egg, which was the famous staple from the Sunset Grill, with chili. Yes, 2 hamburger patties, chili, and a fried egg on top. Oh, my goodness. I think that's what I'm going to have tonight on the way home. So anyway, and I'm listening to this guy tell this other guy on how he would go, and he had just got into somebody's mailbox up in the Hollywood Hills and had established his identity and a new identity, and that he had 2 apartments, one in somebody else's name and one in his. He had 2 new cars in this guy's name, and one, and that he had done this whole thing and opened up. And I'm listening, and I'm going, what? And he was proud of it. This guy up in the Hollywood Hills has no idea, man. He's got so much money. He doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't even know. And it freaked me out. And this was back then. And I've always been aware of that since. I mean, I've just been paranoid. The collection of stuff that happens in a mailbox every single day, it just flips me out. All right. So everybody just have some kind of awareness going on. Lee Spiegel, by the way, from the Huffington Post, wrote a piece today that was just released, and you can go and check it out, of this sighting in Scotland. Now, he goes on, you know what, I'm going to do this really quick. Hold on, let me pull up Twitter, and I'm going to post these pictures really quick. Let's see here. Let's see, how easily can I do this? Let's go to what's it called? I got it right here. Okay. Boom. Boom. All right. Hashtag F2B. Hashtag KDRA. Bam. Okay. That's one of the pictures. And you know what? I'll do the other one here. Let me do the close-up, which is this next one. Now, so what happened was this guy, his name is John McDonald, and he was driving down the road in Scotland, and he sees lights in the sky. And fortunately, of all things, he had a camera. And he takes that picture that I just sent to you. Now, I just sent the enlargement. Okay, did it post? Where's did the other one not post? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Oh. I kind of messed it up, but you guys get the drill. Okay, all right. He says he's driving at night through rural Scotland when he sees this circular bright object appear in the sky. He's 65 years old, and he estimated that the object, which displayed, as you can see here, several rows of lights, was less than 100 yards away, and it hovered there for a few minutes, and then it vanished. And he thinks that the flash from his camera freaked it out, because after he took the picture, then it flew away. That's a close-up. Look at this image. Is that absolutely nuts? Look at that. Pretty crazy, huh? It happened in Perthshire around 11 p.m. on February 28th. Absolutely amazing. And he happened to have a camera, which never happens. It's always my first question. Do you take a picture? Nope. Why not? Didn't think about it. He did. Crazy picture. What is it? I don't know. What I start to take off the list here, unless it's really big and really elaborate, it doesn't look drone-ish to me. It doesn't look drone-ish. I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at, but if you look at the detail, it's 3D. There's something going on in the middle. And if you look at the way the lights are arranged around the outside, this is what I want everybody to kind of notice and take a really close look at here. You see the really big light. Okay, you see the angled side, right? So it looks, it's not circular. It's got flat edges. But anyway, see the second light in the big one? Well, you can see that same one going around. Now, there's something interesting here. And this is what I noticed. See the big light? It's inset just a little bit. Right? Do you see that? And if you look at the same big light as you go around and you look at the pattern, which is light number 2 of the 4, it's inset just a little bit. It's inset. It's inset. It's inset all the way around. Now, if you are faking something, hoaxing, right? You don't do that. You don't make that same either mistake, right? In building this thing. Why would you do that? You wouldn't, right? You would make sure that those were in a straight line, I would think. Right? Or B, it's an actual craft. And that has something to do with the way that it is built. But I find that intriguing, because you wouldn't replicate the mistake. Now, if there was one of those lights that was out of place and everything else was in place, I'd blow it off. I would. Right? But you look at this and the same error is replicated. Now, before you go, Jimmy, I'm not so sure I'm seeing what you're seeing. Now go to light number 3, the one that's right next to the big one. The small one. Look how it is inset, and then the other light next to it to the right is up. Now go to the next series of lights. It's the same thing. Go to the next series of lights. It's the same thing. Very curious. Why that pattern, unless it's just part of the superstructure? It's pretty interesting. Interesting story, interesting photograph. I will say that is that Jim Maher's cousin. That's pretty funny. Mark, that was pretty good. The photograph that we're looking at here, I believe to be real. I don't think it's doctored. I don't think it's Photoshop. I don't think any of that. That's what I don't think is going on. Is it a photograph of an alien craft? I don't know. It's hard to say, not without some more information. But I believe the photograph itself to be real. And if you look at the one that he's holding in his hands, it said Jim Maher's cousin. If you look at the image of him holding the photograph up, just take a good look at that. I'm thinking it's a real photograph. I don't think it's Photoshop. I don't think it's made up. I don't think it's any of that. It's very interesting. All right. Let's see. Where am I at now? Oh, well, I haven't seen it, Ree. No, I'm not. It's not popping up in here. So let me do this. That's strange. This is Fade to Black, and I'm trying to pull something off here. There it is. Let's go backwards. All right. Yeah. Les, I don't know why, man, but it wasn't coming up in the call bank.
Oh, no problem, dude. I'm sorry I had you on mute.
Yeah, that's okay. I would mute me too. You weren't popping up in here, and I don't know why. Apparently, your call came in 4 times, and it didn't. It did not show up. So there you go. But you're here now, Les. That's all that matters.
It's the evil 3-letter, Jimmy.
Well, I always think that. I always do. What do you think about that image that Mr. McDonald took in Scotland? Pretty nuts, huh?
It's pretty gnarly. I've been looking at it for the past, since you posted, and dude, man, I really don't.
Right? I know.
I don't have an answer for that, Jimmy. It looks pretty cool to me. But then again, I really don't know. I guess best guess. I mean, what do you think, Jimmy?
I just think the photograph is real. It's not Photoshop. It's not a digital image. That's what I think. Now, is it what he says it is? It's 100 yards away, and he took that image. If you look at the bottom, you can see there's something in the way. So, and if that's 100 yards away, that's a pretty big craft, and it's pretty interesting. So, What is it? I don't know. It's I wish that there was a little more to it, but it's a fantastic photograph, and we need some analysis on it. And I have the feeling we'll get to the bottom of it. So
you know what, Jimmy? I mean, it's the best photograph I've seen in a couple of years.
Yep. I totally agree.
So I mean, I'm not going to complain, when something that good comes out. I mean, there's always the possibility of a hoax, Jimmy, but it looks pretty darn good to me, man.
Well, I remember when Gulf Breeze hit in the 80s, and I thought, here we go. This is perfect. We have, look what that turned out to be. So it was just too good to be true. But this is, it's pretty compelling. It's pretty cool. Brian just said, you're a master at turning my questions back on me every time. Hey, yeah, you do that well. All right, Les, really quick, favorite Prince song?
Ever since I found out he passed away earlier today, and maybe it's because it's melancholy and I liked it, Purple Rain. Yeah. I'm going to have to say Purple Rain.
Yeah. I remember back in the 80s, I'll just say this really quick. At my house in Pasadena, across the street, there was some garage band, right? And for a day, they played Purple Rain, right? They would get halfway through the song and start it over, and this guitar player. So I sat in my living room and learned the guitar part from this kid, whoever he was across the street, who I never met, but I listened to that song all day long and was playing it with this garage band across the street, and it stayed with me ever since. So I'm with you. Purple Rain, great song, and what it's about, him and his dad and his sexuality, and it's about his eyes being, black, purple, bruises, and the tears going over the bruise and down his face. That's what the song is about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that.
And that's from Katya. Katya gave that to me. And with that, take us out of here, Les.
All right, Jimmy. First, Jimmy would like to thank all the first-time callers and Fadernauts who phoned home tonight. Fade to Black executive producer is Rita Camarion. Special thanks to LJ3, that's me, Renee, Jonas, Mark. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Brother Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro by Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, syndicated on KGRA. And for that, the week, Jimmy and I are out of here.
Thank you so much, Les.
Good night.
Have a great weekend. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'd like to thank Jon Rappoport. His website is nomorefakenews.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.